Kind of doing a quick review and video here as I work on this kit. This is a model 1805 Harper's Ferry pistol. This kit was made by Pedersoli, so it's pretty common out there to find. Essentially, this is the state that it'll arrive in. You can assemble the pieces and parts. The fitting is actually pretty exceptional. They did a very, very good job. But there's, some brass polishing and various woodwork and some items to do. So I wanted to talk overall, very positive about this. But for those who want to be really historical accurate with the true 1805 model, there's kind of some strange things that they've done with this, but we can hopefully, as we finish this and complete it, we can make it look a little bit nicer. So this format that they send it is really similar to what the final product is. So if you look at the actual completed models of the 1805 Harper's Ferry pistol that you can buy from Pedersoli, they look almost identical to this, just obviously it's finished. Looks a little bit nicer, but essentially nothing has changed. So I'm being very nitpicky to the original model 1805, so there's some interesting questions. For starters, this actually comes in 58 caliber, and it is rifled. The originals were 54 caliber and smoothbore, so it's kind of interesting that they chose to do that. They added the brass blade, which, you could probably argue that some people added some after the models were initially produced, but certainly wouldn't have been that large. And at least they have not put any rear sight on here, so that's correct as well. As we go through and look at the pictures, or look at this a little bit more, I wanted to point out a few things. The originals, you can see the front of the stock here should actually be rounded down quite a bit. So they tend to not do that at all, which I don't understand because that's a fairly easy step. The barrel band here that's helps hold the barrel into the gun. This is interesting because even on other companies that make this as a reproduction, this is exactly what it looks like. And there's the pin coming out the other side. But what's strange about it is on all of the originals, the head of this was actually meant to be on the left side. That's where it is on pretty much every picture I've ever seen of the originals. If you do some Google searches and look up some articles from the NRA or Cowan's Auction, some of the famous auction companies, and look at original Harper's Ferry pistols, you can see that pin should actually be flipped. So it's interesting that they put it on the wrong side of the pistol. Obviously on this side, this is going to be the most photographed side because that's the side with the lock. So I'm sure that they just figured try to make it look a little sexier by putting it on that side and add something else for some flair, but it's really incorrect. The other interesting feature here, and I'll show you some pictures in just a second, that they don't do on the finished versions, and I'll try to make it happen on this one, is they basically leave this, the grip here, the butt of this pistol, pretty much with a straight stock. This butt piece right here should really be almost a ball shape and then curved in. This should not be a straight line down. Now on the kit, I have the choice to kind of finish it either way, and I'm going to make it look more original. But on these reproductions, almost all of them I've seen are completely straight, which is really incorrect. So I'll go do my tech here and see if I can get these pictures pulled up on my iPad, and hopefully they pull up correctly. So I'll look at this first one. So at the beginning of this year, from March, I think it was mid-March, American Rifleman magazine, that's part of the NRA, did a really good article on the 1805 Harper's Ferry pistol. But as you can see, you can kind of see what I was talking about with the end of the stock rounded off, the pin much smaller than what it's supposed to be, and you can see clearly the buttstock, especially in this photo, that ball shape, that ball that looks really good in that picture. And we'll go to some other ones here. This is an auction site. Again, you can see how distinct the buttstock is for these Harper's Ferry's pistols, and I don't know why they haven't chosen to do that on these reproductions. It seems like it's a really, really easy item that they could do, and they're not doing that. And on these, on the auctions, you can actually see the larger pin is on the left side, which is correct. So kind of some really minor changes that the company could actually do on both versions, the kit and this version, that would actually make it much more authentic. But I understand most people probably want this to be rifled so they can actually go out and shoot it. Most people don't prefer to buy a smoothbore if they can't really shoot it. But something else that's interesting too, which I'll have to do a little bit more research on, but the overwhelming majority of pictures I've seen of the originals, the ramrods are all solid wood. There's only one exception I've seen with a small brass tip on the very, very end, and then the ramrod they send you has this large brass cap on it, which, I mean, it makes it easier for loading, and it's kind of modernized. But most of the Harper's Ferry's pistols that I've seen, this ramrod actually tapers out down here quite a bit. This chunk of metal here under the barrel is essentially tapered up slightly more, and then this allowed for the bayonet to be a little bit more tapered, so it had a kind of a chunky fat end of wood out there. So that's something I'm going to have to see if I'm just going to keep this reproduction or try to make that look a little bit more original. Odds are I'll probably do an additional wood ramrod here for it, just so it I can kind of have both options, one for easy shooting and one for the actual display of the piece. But overall, pretty happy with it, and I think once it's finished and some of the things that I mentioned are tweaked a little bit, I think it'll look exactly the way it's supposed to look for the most part, and be much more authentic than what they sell off the shelf as their completed version. So we'll have to see, and I'll do some updates as I go through and work on this, and we'll see what it looks like once the product's done. I'll try to keep posting some videos. Thank you for watching.